Rochelle at the Athlete Center. This video is showing two types of pelvic tilting. So a pelvic tilt is one way that we can create lower lumbar, so low back, flexion and extension, and get a little bit of movement in this space here where our lower back meets our pelvis. So the first is a seated version. So we're gonna imagine like our pelvis is a wheel, and the pelvic tilt is either the wheel spinning forward or the wheel spinning backwards. So I like to do this with my arms over my chest so that I'm not using my upper back, trying to focus with this being pelvis and lower back. So a posterior pelvic tilt, I like to imagine that my sit bones and my tailbone are sliding forward on the bench. So sit bones and tailbone slide forward, and that creates a little bit of lumbar flexion. And then I can pull my sit bones and my tailbone backwards, and that's a anterior pelvic tilt, creates a little bit of extension. So a posterior pelvic tilt and an anterior pelvic tilt. And I'm trying not to move through my shoulders, trying to make it just pelvis and lower lumbar. The other version of this is a laying down version. Usually I would do this on the floor or on our treatment tables. Here I'm just, for the video's sake, I'm gonna show you on this bench. So we're gonna start with our feet flat. And again, we have this wheel that's spinning. So to create a posterior pelvic tilt and a little bit of flexion, I'm gonna peel my tailbone and my sit bones up towards the back of my knees. And that's gonna push my lower back into the floor or the table to create a little bit of flexion. And then to reverse it, I'm going to lift my lower back up off the floor without lifting my shoulders or my rib cage. And that tailbone kind of comes towards you. So if we think tailbone up and away, tailbone kind of tucks under and towards you. So my pelvis is spinning posteriorly, as in it's going towards my back, and then it's gonna spin anteriorly, as in it's going forwards towards my front. So we're creating some flexion and some extension, but my rib cage and above, or from the bottom of my rib cage up, isn't really moving. It's mostly coming from pelvis and lower lumbar. So that is a supine or hook lying pelvic tilt and a seated pelvic